Let's say we wanted to add some charts to this application. Why don't we begin by selecting the tab object. Again, this is selected. It says tabs widget. We're going to add another tab, and we're going to call this charts. And maybe we want to put a menu inside of this so that we can play around with various charts all underneath the same tab. Let's call the first menu option bar chart. So we'll start off simply by building a chart that just shows the product prices. Begin by clicking on the table that you want to use for the chart. Drag the chart icon to where you want it. You will notice that the chart is overlaid with some requirements here. The above columns will need to be hidden, unhidden, and rearranged as needed to meet the following criteria. Column 1 is the title for the data. Column 2 is the data value for series 1, and you can graph multiple series if you want to add additional columns. The default for a chart when you first create it is just grabbing the first two columns. That's why name and price were selected. In this case, it is what we want, but it almost never is in your application. So what you would normally have to do is hide and unhide columns and rearrange them so that they are how you wanted them to be. In this case, let's unhide the name, and then let's have the price. And so that's column 1 and that's column 2. So the name will be the data title and the price will be the data value for series 1. Up here underneath chart style, we can choose whether it's a bar chart, a line chart, an area chart, a pie chart, a Gantt chart, which is used to graph the beginning and ending dates, or a map. We can also temporarily hide the chart's overlay so we can get a little bit better idea what it might look like when it renders out. We should also probably put a title up here since there is no title, and maybe we'll call this product prices. And we could make that text centered. We could format it as bold and italics, make it larger, whatever we choose to do. Now let's see, if we just start here and we've done nothing else to the chart, let's run it and see what we have. So what we have here is the running shoes, cotton socks, walking shoes, etc. We have a price. When we hover on it, it gives us a little bit more information. Let's go back into the design window and look at this a little bit more carefully. There is a data table that underlies the all charts. So if we show the charts data table, this is the data that's being graphed. You could add a button up here that says show data table. And then you could connect that button to the chart. And you could say show hide chart data table. So if we were to run this, we would see our chart. And if we said show data table, we would see the data underneath that chart. Clicking on a row here is no different than clicking on a row here. So charts can be linked to other objects as well. And clicking on these rows is no different than clicking on these items. So you can link charts to other charts, you can link charts to reports, reports to charts, records to charts, etc. So let's build another chart. And come back to the design window and let's add a map. Now here we're going to have a map, a Google map of the customers. So we're going to select the customers table and we are going to drag off a chart. But in this case, we want to map the customer addresses. So we come up here to chart type. We choose a map chart. Underneath here, there are a bunch of other options. Street, satellite, hybrid, terrain. If you want to make a satellite chart, you can do that. Let's go back and change it back to just a regular street chart. Now, each chart type has different requirements for the columns and what those columns must contain. So for this type of chart, a map, column 1 has to have the address, and it has to be the complete address, the street, the city, the state. And column 2 is a description of that location. So right now we have the customer name, which is probably what we want for the location description. But we need to unhide another column. But if we try to unhide address and graph this, it's not going to work well because the address will not contain the city and state. So in these types of situations, we need to add a computed column. So these fx columns or function columns or computed columns allow you to calculate values. So in this case, we're going to create one called full address. And this is not going to contain a number. This is going to contain characters. If you click over here, you will see that there is a bunch of information about computed columns, the functions you can use, etc. One of the examples is concatenating addresses. So let's just use that example right here. So here, there's a function that again is documented over here called concatenate. And so we're going to, the first parameter to this function is how the items are added together, in this case a comma and a space. We're going to have an address, a city, and a state. Our info doesn't have a zip, so we're going to delete that out of there. So now we have a name and a full address. That won't work because the address needs to be first. So we need to move this column over here. So now we have the full address and then the name. Now if we run this, let's see what we have. Go for a map of customers, and we will see that we have our various customers there. When we hover or click on one, we'll see that's Joe, that's Ron, that's John White. Now, again, let's link this so we can see some more customer details. So we could simply, let's resize this to give ourselves a little bit more room. We could drag over a customer record that has all of their information and place it here. And then we could create a link between this chart and this record, and it's linked by customer ID. So now if we go up here and we can of course customize this however we want. We could make this editable, we could make this read-only, we could change its color. So now when we run this application, and we come down here, this is blank because we turned that auto run filter off. And when we click on a particular customer, it shows their information. This could be linked to orders or any other information you want. And again, this record could be linked to other parts of the application and so forth to facilitate whatever drill down capabilities you might want.